Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mental Minds. Today, we are going to discuss the most important PYQs of French Revolution. Okay, this chapter of class 9, we are going to discuss the most important questions. Please support my channel. Okay, so initially, let's get into the video. So, the first question is, what were the social causes of French Revolution? Okay, so we know that one of the major reason was the social causes of French Revolution. Okay, so here the French society was actually divided into three estates. We know the three estates are first estate, second estate, and third estate. Okay, the first estate consists of clergy people, mainly the people of the church. Okay, they enjoyed so many privileges. Okay, they had to pay no taxes and all. Okay, so they enjoyed so many privileges. And the second estate, that is the people of nobility. They were also exempted from taxes, and they were owners of lands. Okay, they owned land, was lands, and they also lived luxuriously. And the last one is the third estate. They are the commoners, that is the peasants, artisans, and bourgeois. They paid all taxes but had no political rights. Okay, so this was the reason. As this third estate, they were the one who had suffered a lot. Okay, the inequality in the social in their social status, as well as the privileges of the upper estates. That is the first and the second estate, and burden on common people created an anchor leading to revolution. So, because of this social scenario, the French Revolution started. Okay, our next question is, explain the role of philosophers in French Revolution. Okay, we have several philosophers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu. Okay, they they actually spreaded new ideas. Okay, Rousseau has written a book called Social Contract. In that, he told government is based on the consent of people. Okay, it's not the king or the monarch. He's telling that government is based actually on the interest or the consent of the common people. And the second one is Montesquieu. His book, Spirit of Laws. Okay, you have to remember the book names. That is Rousseau's Social Contract and Montesquieu's Spirit of Laws. In that, he told division of power between legislature, executive, and judiciary. Okay, that is, there should be legislature, executive, and judiciary. That is the courts and all. Okay, all these three should have distinct powers, and like the king should not interfere or should not interfere in the activities of these things. Okay, they should rule. They should have a separate powers. Okay, and the last one is Voltaire. He criticized the church and promoted freedom of expression. That is, we already told this. Clergy people enjoyed several rights, several privileges. They enjoyed several privileges. So this Voltaire criticized that the church people and promoted freedom of expression of the common people. Okay, the writings of these philosophers inspired people to question monarchy. Okay, monarchy is the ruled by a king. No, so these philosophers actually inspired people to question monarchy and demand liberty, equality, and fraternity. Okay, the ideas of French Revolution, the main theme of French Revolution is actually liberty, equality, and fraternity. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. What was the immediate cause of revolution, French Revolution? Okay, actually, there was a financial crisis in France. Okay, we know the king at that time was King Louis XVI. Okay, this king was actually spending heavily on wars, and he enjoyed several luxuries. These luxuries were from the money or from the taxes of the common people from the third estates. Okay, so this he was very leading a very luxurious life but the common people had to suffer a lot. Okay, and because of this nature, the state treasury was empty, and also the debt of the debt were increasing day by day. So as a result, to raise money, taxes were imposed only on the third estate. You should remember that. No other upper estates were imposed taxes on all. Only the third estate, which caused a strong resentment from the common people. Okay, these were the immediate cause of French Revolution. When this question is asked, you should remember about the King Louis XVI. Okay, then you will be able to remember all these points. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. What was the importance of tennis court oath? Okay, actually this oath, tennis court oath, it happened on the particular date, that is 20th June 1789. Okay, 20th June 1789. The members of the third estate declared themselves as the National Assembly. Okay, they took an oath not to separate until they framed a constitution for France. They will only separate only after forming a constitution for the France. Okay, they declared themselves as the National Assembly. Marked the beginning of people's sovereignty against the king. The sovereignty means the ultimate, the most powerful rule, like that we can say. So this particular act, that is the tennis court oath, which it marked the people's sovereignty against the King Louis XVI. Okay, that's why this oath, this tennis court oath is very much important. It happened on the particular date, that is 20th June 1789. Clear? Next question is, what is the significance of the Fall of Bastille? Okay, this Bastille was actually a prison-like building. Okay, prison. So this was stormed on 14th July 1789. You should remember this date. Okay. The Bastille was a symbol of the king's despotism and oppression. Okay, this people hated King Louis XVI because of his deeds. Okay, and this Bastille was considered as a symbol of king's despotism. And its capture by the revolutionaries became a symbol of liberty and people's victory. It inspired revolts all over France. Even today, 14th July is celebrated as France National Day, as this particular date. On this date only, the Bastille prison was stormed. So this date is celebrated as France National Day. After storming this, before storming, they actually freed the prisoners from this jail, and after that they stormed this building. Then later on, the fragments of this or the remains of this Bastille prison was actually sold so that people could buy that as a souvenir and all. Okay, that has been described in your text. So this is the significance of Bastille. It is also a very important question. So let's move on to the next question. That is, explain the role of women in French Revolution. Okay, so actually, the third estate had to suffer a lot. So you should remember the condition of women will be extremely worst. Okay, these men had to actually join the military and all, compulsorily join military and fight for the king's army. So at that time, the woman had the extra responsibility to look after homes as well as they had to do other jobs to for money. Okay, they had to, most women actually sold foods, vegetables, like that. They were doing working as housemaids and all in wealthy people's home. So they had to do double the duty. Okay, so this woman, even though they did such things, they didn't have any right to vote or like basic rights they didn't get. Okay, the condition of women were very poor. So this woman demanded bread, education, and political rights. Okay, bread means their staple food of France were bread. So they demanded food, education. They didn't have the right to education. Okay, they didn't have any political rights. That is the right to vote and all. On 5th October 1789, thousands of women marched to Versailles demanding food. That is the quote. And they forced the king and queen to move to Paris. So there is one important quotation, that is when this woman actually marched to King's Court demanding for bread, the wife of King Louis XVI, that is I think that's Mary Antoinette, she told that why they should have bread they when they can have cake. So this such a quote from this person caused rage of these people. Okay, they forced the king and queen to move to Paris. Although women were not granted equal rights, they played a crucial role in revolutionary activities. One of such revolutionary women, okay, one most important revolutionary woman mentioned in your textbook is of Olympe de Gouges. Okay, she wrote Declaration of Rights of Women and Citizen. Okay. Also, she criticized Jacobin government for forcibly closing down the women's clubs. Okay. She was finally executed by the king. We will move on to the next question, that is, what was the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen? Okay. This was actually passed by the National Assembly in the year 1789. The National Assembly made consist of people of the third estate, right? Stated that all men are born free and equal in rights. Guaranteed rights to liberty, property, security, and resistance to any kind of oppression. Then all are equal before law. That is equality before law and freedom of speech, press, opinion. We should be able to express our ideas. Okay, we should all should be treated as equal before law. There shouldn't be any discrimination and all. These were the demands. Okay, so the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen was passed by the National Assembly in the year 1789. Next is, who were the Jacobins and what was their role? Okay, a radical political club led by Maximilian Robespierre. Okay, the leader of Jacobins club were Robespierre. Members were mainly small shopkeepers, artisans, and daily wage earners. And they abolished monarchy, that's the rule by the king, and declared France a republic in the year 1792. You should remember, when did the Jacobin club declared France as republic? It was on the year 1792. Implemented reforms such as universal male suffrage, that is the right to vote and all. Then control on prices and abolition of slavery. On those days, for work in regions like Caribbean and all, these French people were not interested to travel long distance and work on plantations. Okay, like plantations like coffee, sugar and all, they didn't like. So there was a slave trade, actually triangular slave trade between America, France, and Africa and all. Okay, so the slaves actually were forcefully made to do labor. There were so much discrimination and all. Okay, so this slavery was actually abolished by this Jacobin club only. So the next question is, what reforms were introduced by Napoleon in France? So we know that we have learned about Napoleon, right? He actually established a strong central government. He was considered as a modernizer of Europe and all. Okay, he introduced Napoleonic Code in 1804, that is equality before law, abolished all kinds of feudal privileges. Okay, secured the right to property. Uniform system of weights and measures. This is very, very important. Uniform system of weights and measures was introduced by Napoleon. However, limited political freedom and later on he became a dictator. Okay. Initially, the people hated King Louis XVI for as they hated monarchy. Okay. So they initially thought that Napoleon would create a change and he will become the modernizer of Europe. But after years passed by, what happened? He also uh, became a dictator. Okay, like his own interest only he did. He like okay. So later on at 1852, the war at Waterloo, Napoleon was defeated at the war of Waterloo, Battle of Waterloo in the year 1850. So, our next question, the last question is, why is French Revolution considered an important event in world history? Because we know the ideas of the main idea of behind French Revolution is liberty, fraternity, and equality, which was spread across the Europe. Okay, inspired revolutions in other countries also, like Italy, Germany, Latin America. Okay, then it abolished feudalism and absolute monarchy, and it influenced modern democratic constitution. Okay, these are the important points. French Revolution took place in the year 1789. Okay, so thank you for watching my video. Please like and share and subscribe my channel if you find this videos useful. Okay, thank you.